Hey everyone, Couch Investor here with another video for you today. In today's video is going to be a special one. We're not going to talk about a specific stock, but we're going to talk about a whole country and an opportunity to invest in the new, let's say the new up and coming economy. We're going to talk about every company that has invested heavily in India and specifically in Reliance Industries or JIO. If you feel you've missed the Chinese opportunity, maybe this India one is one for you. So stay tuned for that. We're going to look at all the American companies that has been investing in the Indian market. I'm going to talk a bit about India and the richest man and what is actually happening there. And then at the end of the video, I will cover ways to invest in the Indian market. Some of the ways are pretty familiar, like investing in American companies that have heavily invested in the Indian market. Now, before I get started, if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe now it's time to hit that subscribe button. And if you like these videos, maybe leave it an early thumbs up, as it really helps me outgrow the channel and get my videos out there to you guys. So without further ado, let's dive into this. Alright, so a bit of an introduction about India. They have a population of around about 1.3 billion people and a GDP of 3.2 trillion. If you want to compare that to the United States, which is around $21 trillion, China is around 15 trillion and Japan is about just above $5 trillion. So India still has a long way to go. Now let's talk a bit about the richest man in India, called Mukesh Ambani. I like to call him the Jeff Bezos of India. I'm going to explain later why I said that. Now, Mukesh Ambani is one of the richest people on the planet actually right now, with a net worth of almost $80 billion. He's the director and majority shareholder of Reliance Industries, India's biggest company, and the parent company of JIO platform, Reliance Retail and Energy, and many, many more. Now, JIO Telecom has more than 380 million subscribers, which is more than the population of the entire United States. Now, in 2020, some huge companies like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Walmart, Facebook, all have invested in JIO and Reliance Industries and in India as well. We're going to look at some of the deals right now and see why they've done it and what the future potential of those deals could be. All right, so first up we have Microsoft. You might know Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella is an Indian born, so obviously he would like to help his own country thrive in a new economy. So Microsoft has been investing in India way back, but now we can see here, Microsoft brings its venture fund M12 to India. Its fifth office in the world is now in Bengaluru. Probably murdered that name, but I'm sorry for that. We can see here that Microsoft Venture Fund invests primarily in startups in the Series A to C stages. Our first check into a company generally in the range of $2 to $10 million, and preference for being on the higher end of that range with meaningful ownership. Now, it's not the first time that Microsoft has been investing in India. You can see here that Microsoft and Reliance JIO already have a history of friendship. The two companies already have a partnership in place with Microsoft Cloud Platform Azure, hosting Reliance JIO's data on its servers in India, which was announced in August 2019. Our long-term partnership combines the power of Azure, Azure AI, and Office 365 with JIO's connectivity and digital solutions, which are amongst the most used and most growing in the world, said the CEO at that time. You can see that Microsoft, while maybe now not the world's most valuable company, is reportedly mulling over investing an additional $2 billion in Mukesh Ambani's Reliance JIO for 2.5% stake. And to add to that, we could maybe add TikTok. If Microsoft acquires TikTok's US operations, India might make a deal with Microsoft and TikTok's operations for India, but that remains to be seen, because as you know, TikTok is banned in India and will be banned in the United States if there is no deal that will be agreed between TikTok and maybe a US owned company like Twitter or Microsoft or even Apple. Who knows what might happen, but that's just my own opinion, and it's been rumored that if Microsoft acquires TikTok's US operations, they might be able to continue and work in India as well. Now, next up, we have Facebook's investment in JIO platform for a 9.9% stake in the company. We can see here, India approves Facebook $5.7 billion deal with Reliance JIO platforms. Why is that important for Facebook? Well, as you might know, a lot of people are using mobile phones in India, and especially for Facebook, WhatsApp. We can see here Facebook service reaches about 350 million users in India, while its messaging service WhatsApp has amassed over 400 million users. WhatsApp is by far the most popular service in the world's second largest market. Why is that important? Well, because Facebook launched WhatsApp Pay a couple of years ago in 2018 in India, and now is actually launching it in Brazil as well. But that has been frozen, I think, by the Indian government. But now that Facebook has reached an agreement with JIO, they might start incorporating those technologies into JIO's phones and platforms and whatnot. We can see here as well that the reach is huge. We can see a number of smartphones users in India, 450 million. Number of users for WhatsApp, 400 million. JIO users, 388 million. Facebook users, 328 million. And then number of internet users in India is reaching 600 million people. Obviously, there are still over 500, maybe even 600 million people that have no reach to internet, but the other companies that are investing in India are going to work on that. Which brings me to my next set of companies, which is the companies that will probably produce smartphones and chips and probably also the internet connection in India. So we're going to talk about Qualcomm, Foxconn, Apple and Google, all regarding the phone aspect of India and the access to smartphone and internet. So first up, we have Qualcomm to invest $97 million in India's Reliance JIO platform. As you can see, everyone is investing in JIO platforms. Now here on Sunday evening, Qualcomm Ventures said it will invest $97 million in JIO Reliance platform to acquire 0.15% equity stake on a fully diluted basis in the top Indian telecom operator. Qualcomm said it will help JIO platform roll out advanced 5G infrastructure and services for Indian customers. Now, this is a very important point about 5G because we're going to talk about that a bit later regarding Huawei and why they are leaving the Indian market. A quote here by the chief executive of Qualcomm said the firm believes that Reliance JIO platforms will deliver a new set of services and experience to Indian consumers in the future. With unmatched speeds and emerging use cases, 5G is expected to transform every industry in the coming years. JIO Platforms has led the digital revolution in India through its extensive digital and technological capabilities. As an enabler and investor with a long-standing presence in India, we look forward to playing a role in JIO's vision to further revolutionize India's digital economy. Now, it makes sense that every big company wants to have access to that Indian market and economy because of the huge potential we all can see that the Indian market has. That's why our next investor is Google. Google said it would invest $10 billion in India. Nearly half of it is going to the country's richest man, which is Mukesh Ambani, which is actually the JIO platforms. Now, here for Google as well, their CEO, Sundar Pichai, maybe I said his name wrong, sorry again, is obviously Indian born. So the total investment will be 10 billion in India over the next few years. 2 days later, the company revealed the key detail. Nearly half of it will go to the top telecom operator owned by Mukesh Ambani. The internet giant will invest $4.5 billion into JIO platform as part of a plan to provide increased access for the hundreds of millions in India who don't own a smartphone. As part of the JIO investment, Google and JIO will also work together to create an affordable entry-level Android smartphone for more than 500 million Indians who still don't have access to the internet. Both companies said, building affordable smartphone is nice on a 5G or a 4G network, that's fine, but people that don't have electricity will probably not have internet connection as well. So I find it interesting that they go straight to building smartphone rather than building an infrastructure for electricity and internet and then building smartphone. But maybe with this whole 5G thing, they think that electricity is not needed, but everybody has their priorities, I guess. Now, next up, regarding phones, we're going to Apple and Foxconn. You can see here that Apple's supplier Foxconn plans to invest $1 billion in India. So Foxconn plans to invest up to $1 billion to expand a factory in northern India where the Taiwanese contract manufacturer assembles Apple's iPhones. Now, there's a strong request from Apple to its clients to move part of the iPhone production out of China because of probably the whole tensions between China and the United States. And one key point as well that I want to mention is that Apple only has 1% of the smartphone market share in India. One of the reasons that that might be is because of the huge taxes that India has put on products that are coming from China or from out of India. For example, the iPhone is very expensive compared to Android phones in India, but we've seen this already in the past that Foxconn planned investment in the Sriperumber plant, sorry about that, where Apple's iPhone's XR is made some 50 kilometers west of Chennai, will take place over the course of 3 years. So the iPhone XR is already being produced in India and is probably more affordable than other iPhone phones and probably more affordable than your iPhone XR in the United States or in Europe. Now, this makes us move to the next article, which is Apple begins assembling iPhone 11 in India. As we've just seen, Apple contracts manufacturing partner Foxconn has started to assemble the current generation of iPhone units, the iPhone 11, not the iPhone XR. iPhone 11 is much more expensive than the iPhone XR, so we can see that they are moving the assembly line even for the more expensive smartphones in India to make it more affordable and maybe get more of a percentage of the iPhone market share in India as a whole. Now here we can see what I've said before. Assembling handsets in India enables smartphone vendors, including Apple, to avoid roughly 20% import duty that the Indian government levies on imported electronic products. And lastly, Apple plans to launch its online store in India in a few months, something that has still not happened until now, and open its first brick-and-mortar retail store next year, Chief Executive Tim Cook announced earlier this year. The online store's launch in India remains on track despite the pandemic, a person familiar with the matter said. Now, like I said before, the iPhone maker currently commands roughly only 1% of the smartphone market in India, but it's amongst the firms that dominate the premium handset segment, phones priced above $400 or above. Apple has also been the least impacted smartphone maker in the country amid the corona pandemic. Now, obviously, this is a huge move for Apple and especially for the Indian people that want to buy Apple products or iPhones, etc. I think the tensions between China and the United States are forcing Apple to move some of their production line out of China and into India. I would love to see more companies do that, maybe bring it back to the United States or even open up a production line or I don't know, something in Africa, because I still think that continent has huge potential and is probably wasting so many resources for things like getting clean water, etc. If you could get that continent working like, let's say, a Western country, or even let's say like India, which is still not as developed as Western countries, the world would benefit hugely from that. Now, remember when I said that JIO platforms building the 5G network will be huge and a nail in the coffin of Huawei, where we're gonna see right now why that is. We can see here that Huawei cuts India's revenue target by up to 50% and laying off staff. So Chinese telecom company Huawei Technologies has cut its India's revenue target for 2020 by up to 50% and is laying off more than half of its staff in the country. The Economic Times reported on Monday amid calls to boycott Chinese goods. Now again, some of you might not know, but there are also huge tensions between India and China. Those are tensions that has been going on for years and years. But now that India sees that the United States could be a good ally for their economic development, they would like to rely way less on China, which they view as an enemy, let's say, and rely more on US companies. Now, to continue on that, we can see here an opinion piece on Bloomberg, Mukesh Ambani take on Tencent, Huawei and Xiaomi. By the way, Xiaomi and Huawei are both killing it in the Indian market regarding smartphones. They're selling tons of hardware there, but things might change right now. So Ambani's 4-year-old JIO platform has indigenously built its own 5G technology. The tycoon announced on Wednesday's annual general meeting of its flagship Reliance Industries. After testing it on the 400 million 4G customers he has in India, he'll offer it to other markets. The news website, also controlled by Ambani, called the technology a Huawei killer and noted that the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has praised JIO as a clean network for not using Chinese firms' gear. As we've seen, India is really trying to move away from the reliance to China's technology and help and make its own technology work with obviously the help of the United States, because they prefer to rely on the United States rather than China regarding everything data, telecommunications, etc. Now lastly we have Amazon and Walmart, but mostly Amazon, and then I would like to go back to my reference of Mukesh Ambani being the Jeff Bezos of India. But before I get into Amazon, I just want to show you a little clip of Jeff Bezos a couple of years ago where he was in India and called the 21st century the century of India.
I want to make a prediction for you. I predict that the 21st century is going to be the Indian century. The dynamism, the energy, everywhere I go here, I meet people who are interested in self-improvement and growth. This country has something special.
Right, so even back then we can see that Jeff Bezos saw the huge opportunity in the Indian market, and especially in all those mom and pop business in India, those small stores that he wants to bring on his Amazon platform, or with the help of JIO maybe have an investment in that. We can see right here that Amazon reportedly in talks to buy a almost 10% stake in India's Reliance Retail. So the American e-commerce giant is in the primarily talks to acquire 9.9% stake in Reliance Retail. So Reliance Retail was founded in 2006, is the largest retail chain in India. It serves more than 3.5 million customers each week as of early this year, through its nearly 10,000 physical stores in more than 6,500 cities and towns in the country. Amazon obviously also wants to go alone just with Amazon's platform into India, but if they can get as well a 10% stake in this Reliance Retail company, it's going to be huge for them, and it's probably going to help Reliance and Amazon as well. Now Amazon obviously has already invested hugely in the Indian market as well, but now we can see here that Amazon reports record seller participation in Prime Day India. Amazon has amassed at least 1 million subscribers for its Prime loyalty program in India, the e-commerce giant revealed today in a long rundown of its platform fared during last week's Prime Day in the world's second largest internet market. Now obviously Amazon Prime in India is way cheaper than in my country and in the US probably as well. This is the first time Amazon has even vaguely disclosed how many of its users in India have signed up for the Prime subscription that costs only $13.3 a year. I think in Belgium it costs $12 or $13 per month or so. So we can see that they adapt to each market they enter. More than 91,000 small businesses, sellers in India, a record for the company, participated in the local Prime Day and sold to customers living in 5,900 zip codes covering more than 97% of the country. Over 4,000 of those businesses clocked sales of more than $13.3 thousand, slightly below the 4,500 businesses during last year's Prime deal, and overall 31,000 sellers reported the two-day period last week as their best selling on the platform. Like I just said, Amazon has been already investing heavily in the Indian market, and with their investment or potential investment in JioMart and Reliance Retail, they could have a major footprint in the retail of India in the next couple of years, and their revenue will just keep on growing and growing like we've seen even this year during a pandemic. Now let's move to the last one, which is a huge competitor for Amazon, which is Walmart. Now Flipkart's competitive position in India. Flipkart is one of India's leading e-commerce firms with a customer base of 200 million. The Flipkart group started in 2007. Now the group is a popular name in India when it comes to online shopping with its Flipkart and Myntra companies. The company has a leading position in electronics and fashion. Flipkart expanded its services after Walmart's investment in 2018. So Walmart has been in India for 2 years already. So the CEO said on Tuesday that the e-commerce company is rapidly increasing share in the general merchandise categories and grocery, all while providing increasingly seamless payment and delivery options for our customers. Now, the company wants to bring an additional 200 million Indian shoppers online. Now, this isn't something new that Walmart is trying to compete with Amazon. We've seen that in the United States as well. In recent years, Walmart has been revolutionizing their business by going more and more online. So we can see here that last month, Walmart joined hands with the tech giant Shopify. According to the agreement, Shopify merchants will have access to Walmart's online marketplace. Overall, the deal should boost the sales for Shopify's merchants and give Walmart shoppers more product selections. So we can see that even in a competitive market, both companies can benefit from it, and especially in a new untapped potential like Indian market. Now, why did I call Mukesh Ambani the Jeff Bezos of India? Well, as you can see, Reliance Industries has a retail store, energy, telecommunications, probably life sciences as well, and many more. So basically he's the everything. He's like Amazon is doing everything, and he's probably as well like Facebook, Google, Apple and Amazon all in one. The only thing is that the Indian government has no problem with that because it's actually making their economy much bigger. If you look at the United States, like we've seen in the Congress hearing, I think 2 weeks or so ago, there are some key issues there, but he has the full backing of the Prime Minister Modi and the Indian government to keep on growing and keep on bringing investment from the United States or from Europe, just maybe not from China. All right, so now let's talk about a couple of ways how to invest in this Indian economy. Now, a few ways is just the usual: invest in Apple, in Amazon, in Microsoft, just the companies that are heavily investing in India, because you are going to benefit as well. But another way is probably mutual fund and ETFs. As we can see here, first one is the Wisdom Tree India Earnings Fund. We can see that their top 10 holdings, obviously number one is Reliance Industries. So if you're interested just in the Reliance and the JIO platforms, maybe such ETFs is the way to go for you. But most big cap ETFs will have Reliance as their number one assets regarding their holdings. Infosys, another big company in India. Then we have iShares India 50 ETF. Same thing here, Reliance Industries number one, Housing Development Finance and Infosys in their top 5 holdings. But if you want more exposures into those little and small cap Indian companies, then I would suggest you to look into the iShares India Small Cap ETF, where you could see that they have much more exposure to the Indian market because their number one holding only weighs 2.46%. Reliance is nowhere to be seen in their top 10 holdings. So if you want more of that type of exposures, this is the way to go. And lastly, we have the iShares, but the big cap ETF, which again, Reliance, Infosys and Housing Development Finance Corporation in their top 3. Now, it is reported that JIO would like to have their IPO in the New York Stock Exchange in the next 1 or 2 years. So if you have patience, you can wait for their IPO. It will certainly help now that they have investment from the United States. So maybe wait a year or 2 and you might enter JIO's IPO and get a big chunk of India's growing economy. But as of now, those are all the ways I can think of how to invest in India. Obviously, you can go and have some physical assets like real estate, etc. But for us investors, I think investing in stocks that are investing in India is one way, mutual funds, ETFs are other ways, or wait for JIO to go public. I think that will be it for this video. If you liked it, consider leaving a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, maybe hit that subscribe button. If you have any additional information that I've missed out, please leave it down in the comments below. And as always, guys, take care, stay safe, and see you all in the next video. Bye bye.